The Orioles used a franchise record 70 players in 2025. I'll get you one fact about each of them coming up on this episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
You are Locked On Orioles, your daily Baltimore Orioles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Orioles fans. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and welcome back into the Locked On Orioles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'm your host, Connor Newcomb. And coming up on today's episode, we're going to do something kind of fun, which we're going to pretty much jump right into here at the top of the show. The Orioles, they used 70 different players just to find their way through the 75-win 2025 season. Yes, 70 players was a new franchise record for players used in a single season by the Orioles. Now, the Marlins had set the MLB all-time record when they used 70 players in 2024. And the Orioles, going into the final day of the season, had tied it. But the Braves had also tied it, and then they broke the record with 71 because our old friend Charlie Morton was signed as kind of a farewell start on the final day of the 2025 season for the Braves, making Atlanta use 71 players and holding the big league record. So the Orioles just have the franchise record from 2025 at 70. Kind of fitting, right? That Charlie Morton, who helped dash the Orioles' chances this year, also beats them with the Braves in this record. But I got to shout out to listener and follower Mark B., who sent in this suggestion early in the offseason, sent it in again last week, and just a really great idea, something I'm excited to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through all 70 players. Some of these guys, you're going to know them well. They're going to be big parts of the 2026 Orioles. Some of them you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember him, having some moments with the O's. And some of these guys, you're going to be like, Connor, who in the world is that? Well, I promise you, all 70 of them appeared in at least one game for the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. And I'm going to give you in descending order of Baseball Reference WAR. So the first player I'll talk about had the most WAR on Baseball Reference last year. The 70th player I talk about had the least amount. There are certainly some guys in the negatives in terms of wins above replacement. I'm going to run through just one fact on all 70 guys to give you something to remember, some kind of hat tip to what they did for the Orioles 2025 season. I think after that, we can pretty much tie a bow on what was a very, very disappointing year in Baltimore. So let's just jump into it here. I have about 20-ish seconds for every player if I want to get this episode done in a normal amount of time, but it should be fun. There will be some trivia questions in here with some of these guys that I talk about, so you can throw those trivia answers here in the comments if you would like to play along with some of the trivia. There's going to be some really cool remembering some guys in here as well. So let's begin with number one on the list, the Orioles WAR leader at Baseball Reference, Trevor Rogers, who had a 1.39 ERA through his first 14 starts of the season. That was the lowest ERA by any Orioles starting pitcher ever in his first 14 starts of a year. The previous low was Jim Palmer, who had a 1.51 ERA in his first 14 starts in 1975. Gunnar Henderson, number two, who had a 5.3 B-WAR this season, gave him 21.4 wins in terms of Baseball Reference WAR in the first 4 seasons he's appeared in the big leagues. That is second best all time by any Oriole in the first 4 seasons you appeared in. Number one, Cal Ripken Jr., 22.4 B-WAR in just 10 more games played than Gunnar Henderson. Number three is outfielder Ramon Laureano. His 145 WRC plus, making him 45% better than a league average hitter this year, made him the best hitter on the Orioles on a rate basis. Kind of tells the story of the O's season. Number four is Dean Kramer, who threw 171 2/3 innings this year and is now up to 671 2/3 innings pitched in his career with the Orioles. He becomes just the 7th pitcher in Orioles franchise history since 2000. So in this century, to throw at least 670 innings in this century. Trivia. Can you name the other 6 pitchers who have thrown at least 670 innings for the Orioles since the year 2000? Number 5 is Ryan O'Hearn. Another great season for him. He hit 283 in 94 games for the Orioles before getting traded to the Padres. His 277 batting average since joining the Orioles in 2023 is the best on the Orioles in that stretch among guys with at least 300 plate appearances. It was a fun time with O'Hearn. Good luck to him in Pittsburgh. Number 6 is Adley Rutschman, who was finally heating up in June before he suffered that first oblique strain and went on the injured list on June 20th. In the month of June, Rutschman slashed 309, 381, 509 for a 149 WRC+. He was one of the best hitters in baseball in that month. If he can channel that with being healthy, maybe we see the bounce back this year. Number 7 is Jordan Westburg with a 115 WRC+ in the 85 games he played in last year. Westburg had another good season when he was on the field. That makes him the 8th best third baseman in baseball by WRC+ with a 120 over the past 2 seasons when he stays healthy. Big for Jordan, big for this team, is him just finding a way to stay on the field. Number 8 is Ramon Arias. Arias accrued 6.0 Fangraphs WAR since the Orioles claimed him off waivers from the St. Louis Cardinals in 2020. That is the most WAR from any Orioles position player who is a waiver claim in the 21st century. Basically, the best position player waiver claim since the turn of the century by the Orioles. One player, a pitcher, has slightly more WAR, 6.1 with the Orioles, who was a waiver claim since 2000. Trivia time. Can you name that one pitcher who was claimed off waivers in this century and accrued more WAR with the Orioles than Ramon Arias? Number 9 is Tomoyuki Sugano, who became only the second Oriole ever to make at least 30 starts with the O's in his first big league season. Trivia. Who is the only other Oriole all time to make at least 30 starts with the O's in his first major league season? Number 10 is Kyle Bradish, who struck out 47 batters in his 6 starts late in the season, coming back from Tommy John surgery. That is the second most strikeouts ever for an Orioles pitcher in his first 6 starts of the year. The only player above Bradish is Bob Turley in the Baltimore Orioles' inaugural season in 1954, who had 53 strikeouts in his first 6 starts. The difference is Turley did that in 51 innings. Bradish did it in just 32 innings. Number 11 on the list is Felix Bautista, who upped his ground ball percentage this year when he was on the field from 36.4% to 2023 to 50.7% ground balls in 2025. That is the largest year-over-year increase in ground ball percentage of any pitcher in Major League Baseball in the 2025 season. Yes, he was maybe a little injured, but he got outs in a little bit of different ways last year. Number 12 is outfielder Dylan Beavers, who had 26 walks in his 35 games with the Orioles in his debut season. That tied the Orioles record for walks accrued in your first 35 career games. Glenn Gulliver had 26 walks in his first 35 games with the Orioles in 1982, and Beavers ties his record. Colton Cowser is number 13, who had a 14.1% barrel rate, which led the Orioles and was 30th in all of Major League Baseball. When he gets to the ball, he absolutely gets to the ball. 14th on the list is Keegan Aiken, who threw 63 1/3 innings for the Orioles this year. He has thrown 240 1/3 innings in relief for the Orioles since 2022. That is the 5th most innings thrown by all big league left-handed relievers since the beginning of the 2022 season. Trivia time. Can you name the top 4 relievers in baseball above Keegan Aiken most innings by a lefty reliever since 2022? Hint, one of them is a former Oriole. Number 15 is Jackson Holliday, who finished second on the team just behind Gunnar Henderson with 649 plate appearances at the major league level. Stayed mostly healthy this year. That is the 4th most plate appearances ever in a single season by an Oriole age 21 or younger. The only 3 others to do it at that age, Manny Machado, Eddie Murray, and Cal Ripken Jr. Pretty good place to be for Jackson Holliday. Number 16 is Cade Stroud, the right-handed reliever, who had a 1.71 ERA in his first 25 appearances in the big leagues with the Orioles. That is the 2nd lowest ERA ever by an Oriole reliever in his first 25 career appearances on a big league mound. The only pitcher who was better, left-handed reliever Donnie Hart in 2016 and 2017, had a 0.43 ERA in his first 25 appearances out of the bullpen with the Orioles. Number 17 is catcher Alex Jackson, who came over in just a we need a warm body trade from the Yankees in the middle of the season. His first 10 hits as an Oriole all went for extra bases. That set a new Major League Baseball record for consecutive hits with a new team being all for extra base hits with 10 in a row. Wishing Jackson the best in Minnesota this year. Number 18 is Tyler Wells, who had a 2.91 ERA and 18 strikeouts to just 2 walks in the 4 starts he made for the Orioles late in the year, coming back from elbow surgery. He is just the 5th Orioles starting pitcher ever to have an ERA under 3 and walk 2 or fewer batters in his first 4 starts of a season. One of the Orioles to do it was John Means in 2024, also coming off an injury. Number 19 is right-handed reliever Rico Garcia, who had a really, really good fastball and got out of a lot of jams this year. He had 19.7 inches of induced vertical break on his 4-seam fastball. That was the 4th most IVB on any fastball in baseball last year, meaning Garcia has some of the most just deceptive riding action of any fastball in the big leagues, while the O's might keep him around. Number 20 is Dietrich Enns, who threw 26 innings of relief after he was acquired by the Orioles at the deadline. That led all Orioles relievers in innings pitched in that span. He's a versatile guy who could be back this year. Number 21 is Andrew Kittredge. It is just very funny that the Orioles traded Andrew Kittredge to the Cubs for a minor league infielder, Wilfred De La Cruz, who looks like a legit prospect at the deadline. And then after the season, the Orioles sent cash to the Cubs to trade for Andrew Kittredge back. So they basically got Wilfred De La Cruz for just a little bit of cash, a Mike Elias swindle in those 2 trades. Number 22 is Albert Suarez. If you set the minimum to just 10 innings pitched in 2025, Suarez is 2.19 FIP, that is fielding independent pitching, does kind of a better job than ERA of predicting what a pitcher will do moving forward. That was the lowest FIP on the 2025 Orioles. Number 23 is reliever Brian Baker, who had a 129 stuff plus, like a raw stuff number on his changeup before the Orioles traded him to the Rays. That gave him the 5th best raw stuff changeup among all relief pitchers in 2025. That's the first 23 out of 70. We'll get to the next bunch coming up next. But first, this episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump in. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job in the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. So we continue on with one fact from all 70 players who appeared in a game for the 2025 Orioles. We move on to number 24, reliever Sir Anthony Dominguez, who did the funniest baseball move that can happen. Get traded to a team at the deadline that you are playing against. And even better, it happened in the middle of a doubleheader between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. He walked from one clubhouse to another at Oriole Park during the trade. That's my favorite thing that happens at the trade deadline. Number 25 is Jeremiah Jackson, who was awesome in the big leagues, but even better in AAA. Jackson had a 182 WRC plus in AAA Norfolk this year before getting called up. That made him the best hitter in all of AAA in 2025 among guys who had at least 150 plate appearances at that level. Gregory Soto, his Fangraphs headshot is still of Levon Soto instead of Gregory Soto. Very differently shaped and looking men. It's a little funny every time you go to Gregory Soto's Fangraphs page. Number 27 is Kobe Mayo. Yes, he had his struggles, but he also had a 165 WRC plus in September, which was the best on the Orioles and the 15th best in Major League Baseball with a minimum of 80 plate appearances. Maybe if he stays, he can take that into 2026. Colin Selby, the reliever, is number 28. He had 11 appearances for the O's, 14 innings pitched, and just 2 walks. He is only the third Orioles reliever this century to walk 2 or fewer batters in his first 14 innings of a season. Trivia: who are the other 2 Orioles relievers this century who have gone 14 innings with 2 walks or less to begin a year out of the bullpen? Number 29 is right-handed pitcher Roansy Contreras, who made 1 long relief appearance for the Orioles late in the year, went 4 1/3 scoreless, and then was DFA'd. He is the first Oriole to go at least 4 1/3 scoreless innings in relief in his Orioles debut since Gabriel Yanoa threw 6 scoreless innings in relief in an Orioles win on May 5th, 2017, after Wade Miley had to leave the game in the first inning when he was hit by a line drive by back-to-back hitters in the first inning of that game. He remained mostly okay, though, after that. Number 30 is reliever Sean Dubin, who came over on waivers late in the year and began his outings with the Orioles with 6 straight scoreless appearances. He is the 4th Mike Elias waiver wire pickup reliever to start his Orioles career with 6 straight scoreless appearances. The other 3, trivia time, can you name them? Number 31 on the list, reliever Jose Espada, who made 1 Oriole outing in September, 3 innings of scoreless relief, 1 hit, 4 Ks, and no walks. The last Oriole reliever to have that good of stats in his O's debut, TJ McFarland, when he debuted for the Orioles as a Rule 5 pick all the way back in 2023. Number 32 is reliever Jose Castillo. The Orioles were one of 4 teams he pitched for in 2025. I think that tied the record in the big leagues in that season. Number 33 is Emmanuel Rivera. We will never forget his walk-off single versus the Dodgers on 21-31 celebration night. Probably the best on-field moment from the 2025 Orioles. Number 34 is infielder Vidal Brujan, who had 1 appearance for the O's, and he singled. He hit 1,000 for the Orioles, leading them in batting average, minimum 1 plate appearance. Number 35 is infielder Vimael Machine, who homered in his first plate appearance with the O's when he was called up in August. He is the first Oriole to homer in his first plate appearance with the team since Lou Montañez did it back in 2008. Number 36 is outfielder Daniel Johnson. He is the only Oriole who played for the O's in 2024, left for another team. He went to the Giants, and then came back to play for the Orioles again in 2025 with a different team there in the middle. Number 37 is catcher Chadwick Tromp. Tromp is one of just 6 players from Aruba who has played in Major League Baseball. Surprisingly, 5 of those 6 players from Aruba have played for the Orioles. The only one who has not is Xander Bogaerts. Number 38 is Ryan Mountcastle. As measured by StatCast, he literally is dead last in all players in Major League Baseball in StatCast measured arm strength. He legitimately has the weakest arm among all qualified defensive players in the majors. Number 39 is Cedric Mullins, who started the season red hot with a 163 WRC plus in March and April. That made it the second best offensive month of his career, only behind the 212 WRC plus he had in his incredible All-Star season, 30-30 season in June of 2021. Terrin Vavra is number 40. Shout out to him. He's playing for the Czech Republic in the WBC. He had just 1 plate appearance this year. It was a lineout in Chicago that came off the bat at 100.6 miles per hour exit velocity. Vavra, who's been in the big leagues for a little bit, has only 10 balls he's hit in his career harder than his 1 single plate appearance from last season. Number 41 is Ryan Noda, who joined the Orioles, and his first Orioles plate appearance was a pinch hit, 2-out, 9th inning RBI single to tie the game at 3 in Chicago against the Cubs. That was a huge moment, and then he had only 1 more hit all season for the Orioles. Number 42 is outfielder Cooper Hummel, who played 1 game for the O's, struck out in his 1 plate appearance, and took a bad route to a ball that landed in right field. Not a great audition for Hummel in Baltimore. Number 43 is catcher David Banuelos, who's been the Orioles' emergency taxi squad catcher for a couple years. He had 2 plate appearances this year, and he was hit by a pitch in his first one. That was his first time ever reaching base in the big league, still without a hit, but the first one was a hit by pitch. Number 44 is outfielder Jordan Adams, who played in 10 games for the Orioles, only had 5 plate appearances, but did not reach base in any of them. He is the first Oriole to fail to reach base in his first 10 games playing with the team since Craig Gentry did it for the Orioles back in 2017. Number 45 is right-handed pitcher Elvin Rodriguez, who made only 1 appearance for the O's and allowed 2 home runs in that one single appearance. One of them is to current Oriole Weston Wilson. Number 46 is Charlie Morton. It was bad early in the year. Morton had a 10.89 ERA in his first 5 starts with the Orioles before turning things around. That is the 4th highest ERA from any starting pitcher in franchise history in his first 5 starts as an Oriole. The only 3 to have a higher ERA, let's remember some guys, Mike Johnson, Russ Ortiz, and Ty Block. And finally, let's remember coming up next, the final 24 guys on this list. But first, this episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast is also brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. You can upload documents, you can go about your day, and you can get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a TurboTax local expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. We move on and continue here on our list of giving you one fact of all 70 players who appeared for the 2025 Orioles, and we're on to number 47, right-handed pitcher Cody Poteet. Made 1 appearance for the Orioles. It was on the 24-2 massacre against the Reds. He allowed 5 earned runs in his only appearance as an Oriole this year. Number 48 is Cade Povich, who had crazy times through the order splits. First time through, 2.95 ERA. Second time through, 5.66 ERA. Third time through, 10.42 ERA. He may be pushed to the bullpen this year. Might be a good idea. Number 49 is Yarmiel Geraldo, who had a 61.6% whiff rate against his changeup this year. That was the 2nd highest swing and miss rate against any single pitch thrown in the big leagues in 2025. Number 50 is Samuel Basallo, who became the 4th Oriole ever to have his first home run hit at Camden Yards be a walk-off homer when he did it against the Dodgers. The other 3 to hit their first Oriole Park home run be a walk-off: Ramon Hernandez, Taylor Teagarden, and Henry Urrutia. What a group. Number 51 is Zach Eflin, who is just the 3rd Orioles pitcher to ever walk fewer than 1 batter per start and still have an ERA over 5 in his first 14 starts of the season. He didn't walk anybody, just gave up a ton of runs. The other 2 to do it and have that weird of a season, Ken Dixon and Doug Drabeck. Number 52 is right-handed pitcher Carson Ragsdale, who gave up 8 earned runs in 3 innings in mop-up duty relief, became one of the worst major league debuts of all time. He is the first non-position player Oriole to allow at least 8 earned runs in relief since Paul Shuey and Brian Burris both did it in the same game. What was that game? Well, that is the 30-3 game back in 2007. Number 53 is infielder Luis Vasquez, maybe known more for his pitching this year. He was the Orioles' main position player pitcher, and he threw 4 1/3 scoreless innings as a position player pitcher this year. That is the new modern record for the most scoreless innings in a season without giving up a run thrown by a position player on the mound. Shout out to Luis Vasquez for that one. Number 54 is reliever Matt Bowman. He grew up in Chevy Chase, Maryland, before the Nationals, so it's pretty cool he got to play for the Orioles. Number 55, reliever Scott Bluett, who became the first Orioles reliever to have multiple outings in a season allowing at least 4 earned runs since Mike Baumann and Adam Plutko each did it for the 2021 Orioles. Number 56 is Yennier Cano, who added a cutter and a splitter to his repertoire this season. I believe he is the only Orioles pitcher who added 2 new pitches to his bag of tricks in 2025. Number 57 is Grant Wolfram. He was one of only 8 relievers in Major League Baseball last year who threw at least 20 innings, who had at least a 120 stuff plus on both his slider and his curveball. That is a really good combo of breaking balls. 2 other guys of the 8 on that list, Ryan Helsley and Cade Stroud. They may now all be in the same nasty bullpen. Number 58 is Gary Sanchez, who after coming off the injured list with a wrist injury had an insane month of June, slashing .354, .415, .646 for a 196 WRC plus, making him the 5th best hitter in baseball in the month of June, minimum 50 plate appearances. Number 59 is catcher Jacob Stallings, who by sprint speed was the 5th slowest player in all of Major League Baseball in 2025. 3 of the other top 4 are catchers, and the other one, unsurprisingly, is Giancarlo Stanton. Number 60 is outfielder Greg Allen, who is the 2nd Oriole position player to ever start his Orioles career with 7 games played, 14 or more plate appearances, and not reach base at all. The only other one to do that is Kareem Garcia. I don't even remember who that was back in 2000. Number 61 is reliever Corbin Martin. He had 2 wild saves last year and is just the 9th Oriole ever to have multiple saves and have an ERA of at least 6 in a single season. The last 2 to do it were Paul Fry in 2021 and Dennis Baez in 2007. Number 62 is Cionel Perez, who became just the 2nd Orioles reliever in team history to have an ERA over 8 and walk at least 18 batters in his first 19 appearances of a season. The only other one to do it was Mike DeJean in 2004, who, funny enough, was traded to the Orioles for Kareem Garcia, who I just mentioned 2 facts ago. Number 63 is Tyler O'Neill. Yeah, we could talk about the opening day home run thing, but I'll say he played in 54 games this season. He's been injured his whole career, and 54 games is still the fewest amount of games he's played in a single non-COVID season in his big league career. Number 64 is Brandon Young. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Brandon Young is the first pitcher ever to throw an immaculate inning and take a perfect game into the 8th inning in the same season where his ERA was still over 6 in that season. What a wild rookie ride for Brandon Young. Number 65 is Jorge Mateo, who came off the injured list in September, on September 5th, and appeared in his first game in 3 months off the IL, was entered into the game as a pinch runner, and was immediately picked off before a pitch was even thrown. Never change, Jorge. Never change. Number 66 is Dylan Carlson, who went 22 consecutive plate appearances to begin his Orioles career without a hit before he finally got one. That is the 4th longest streak in Orioles history of plate appearances without a hit to begin their career with the team. The last to eclipse what Carlson did was Nick Johnson back in 2012. Number 67 is Chase McDermott, the reliever, who now has a 12.79 ERA in his first 5 appearances in the big leagues with the Orioles. That is the highest ERA in Orioles history for a pitcher in his first 5 appearances with the team when throwing at least a total of 8 innings in those first 5 outings. Number 68 is catcher Maverick Handley. He is the 4th Oriole ever to hit under 100 with 0 extra base hits in his first 16 big league games, who is an actual position player. I took out pitchers. The only other 3 to do it, Don Leppert, Rich Dower, and unfortunately, Kobe Mayo. Number 69 on the list, not so nice, Kyle Gibson, who had a 16.78 ERA in his 4 starts with the Orioles before being DFA'd. That is the 3rd highest ERA ever by an Orioles starter in his first 4 starts of a single season. Bill Wright in 1956, and amazingly, Mike Cuellar in 1976, the only 2 guys who have higher ERAs in their first 4 starts. And finally, last but not least, at number 70 is Heston Kjerstad. The Orioles say he's healthy and ready for spring training after some medical scares. So you know what? Let's forget all his facts of 2025 and move on the podcast and move on with Heston Kjerstad to 2026. I did it. All 70 guys. Hope you remembered some guys. maybe some guys you didn't even know existed, but that's one fact and a hat tip to all 70 of them who appeared, a franchise record for the Orioles in 2025. A goal should be, let's have less than 70 players play for the 2026 Orioles. That'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know here in the comments or, via email, lockedonorioles@gmail.com. What'd you think of that kind of episode? I had a lot of fun putting it together. Again, a shout out to our guy, Mark, who had the idea for that multiple times. And I finally got around to giving it an episode. Let me know. Of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Locked On Orioles YouTube channel. If you're a listener, subscribe, follow the show, 5-star rating and a review on Spotify and Apple Pods really helps us out as well. And of course, if you really like Locked On Orioles, you can check out the Everydayer Club. You've got ad-free episodes. You've got members-only Discord access with me and other Orioles fans. Just head to lockedonorioles.supercast.com. Links in the show notes as well to join the Everydayer Club. Again, we are back to 5 episodes per week this week, so I'll be back tomorrow. We got a couple players to finish up on the season review series, or of course, if we get some news, we'll get to that as well. But until then, I'm Connor Newcomb, and this has been the Locked On Orioles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.